All right, we are back for a game week, Adam, and Buffs had their second bye week last week, and they've got Washington coming up this week in the final home game of the season. You've lost your voice, so we'll see how you can get through this one. But how was your bye week?
It was good. Yeah, my voice makes it sound like it was a rough bye week, but no, it's good. Mel Tucker took time out to meet with us, and he's even thanked us a couple times this week for giving us free lunch. We owe him a thank you, but it's just kind of refreshing that a head coach here at CU, and not to bash former coaches, but Mel Tucker appreciates us more than any head coach that we've covered here at CU, and so it's nice. We put in a lot of work, not more than probably 10% of the work that him and his staff put in, but the fact that he appreciates the fact that we're here every day and our dedication, I like it. It's good to see that from a head coach here.
And the fact that it came, during the season. I mean, it's one thing maybe if you were to do that, hey, after the season, let's go do that. But to do it during the season, I know it was a bye week, but still, it's a busy week for them, and to be able to do that, I think that day he left and went out of town recruiting. So, for him to do that, I agree with you. It's a nice, refreshing thing to have him. I think other coaches in the past have appreciated us to a point, but I think Tucker's kind of taken that. We'll see how it is in year 4 or 5, but at least for right now, he appreciates us.
Yeah, and I talked to Darian Hagan today, who has a unique perspective. He's been a coach here at CU for so long, and just even hearing him talk about how you coach really hard for the guy because you don't want to disappoint him, and talked about recruiting as something like, we've seen Mel Tucker say and tweet out that we recruit every day, and Darian Hagan says it's a change. I'll go into my office and have running backs I got to evaluate every day, and I'm talking to recruits every day. It's really, they're backing that up, and you've seen it take a jolt. Another 4-star commits this week, Christian Gonzalez, a guy that can play a lot of different positions in the secondary. So you're seeing that recruiting momentum continue here as we get closer to that early signing period.
Yeah, and just to go more on Mel Tucker, I mean, players have just been kind of an outpouring of love for this guy all season. I talked to Mikhail Onu last week, and he couldn't say enough good things about Mel Tucker. And he said to me, he goes, I came in here. Mel Tucker knows that I came in here and I'm gone. He's here for 1 year. He didn't owe me anything, but he took the time to really get to know me, just kind of really treat me as one of his sons. And, I think Mikhail and several other guys have tweeted out, this is the best coach in the nation to play for. So it means a lot. And, I think maybe we're seeing some of that in recruiting, that maybe that's rubbing off on some of these recruits. They're seeing how much these players love it.
And no question about that. And you even brought up at the press conference that Chris Peterson has credited how hard these players have played for him this year. You can say what you will about, some of these games and how they've gone down the wire, but one thing that we haven't questioned all season is their effort. It's been clear, especially with some of their comebacks in these games, that they want to play for this staff.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of times a key to a successful team is, are they willing to play for their coach? Are they willing to play for each other? And I think, at least right now, one thing we're seeing is these guys are willing to play for this coach, and they love Mel Tucker. So we'll see how that goes in years as they pass. But at least for right now, that's been kind of the trademark of this team, I think.
Yeah, no doubt. And senior night coming up now, and it's crazy. I was talking to Tim Lynott, and you start to reflect. I remember going down to Regis to interview him when he was a sophomore in high school, and just, it's another group of guys that are going to be ending their career here pretty soon. So, they've been kind of giving out tickets to the season ticket holders, so you hope that the support continues to show up for these guys on their last game at Folsom Field.
That part might be the most disappointing part of this game. Is that, the timing of it is bad. It's the start of the Thanksgiving break. I think a lot of students are going to be out of town. Maybe a lot of families go out of town. So the attendance, I don't think is going to be as good as it's been. But this is a unique senior class, Adam, in that I think it's 17 guys, and I think about half of them didn't start here. They're guys that, like a Mikhail Onu, who came here for this year. Jalen Harris came here just this year. Jack Shutak, who I talked to today, started at Rutgers and then came here as a walk-on. So it's an interesting senior class. There's so many JUCO transfers, guys that didn't start here.
Yeah, Alex Changham comes into the Tuesday press lunch, and it's like, you just got here. How are you ending your career already here? It is crazy. Yeah, but I think that's going to be the trend in college football with this transfer portal. You're going to see that more and more. It's going to be unique unfortunately, for some guys to be around for 4 or 5 years.
And one of those guys I talked to this week was Tony Brown, who obviously played his first 2 years at Texas Tech, has really blossomed this year and really made the most of the opportunity. And that's kind of, I guess, the hallmark of this senior class is you've got guys like Lynott and Steven Montez, Alex Kinney that have been here the whole time, but there's so many of those guys, like a Delrick Abrams took advantage of the opportunity he got here. Tony Brown, Jack Shutak to a point, just to walk on, but look at him playing right now. Alex Changham, last year hardly played. Yeah. So it's an interesting senior class, but I think it's one that should be celebrated for maybe a different reason than we're used to celebrating a senior class.
Well, one interesting thing is the Buffalo Heart Award has typically gone to seniors, but at least when the award started, it wrote in the language that it didn't have to be a senior.
Yeah.
I wonder who's going to get it this year, because Laviska Shenault Jr. might be playing, it probably is playing in his last game at Folsom Field.
Yeah.
He would be a candidate for that award. I'm curious to see who that award goes to.
Yeah, it's been a slam dunk a couple times recently, like Cepho. Philip Lindsay was pretty obvious. That was maybe the most obvious winner of the Buffalo Heart Award ever. I think some people on your board, let's rename it the Philip Lindsay Buffalo Heart Award. Yeah. So that was the most obvious one. There's no Philip Lindsay type, but a lot of guys that are deserving it. I think, at least the years I've been following it, I'm not sure there's been more quality candidates among the senior class.
Yeah. Steven Montez might get it just because of the position he plays, and he has battled through a lot and ups and downs, and the fans have gone along that roller coaster ride with him. But if I had a vote, I think I would go with Laviska Shenault. And that 4th and 1 play against Stanford is just a key example of why I would vote for him.
Yeah, you mentioned Tim Lynott. No offensive lineman has ever won that award, so we'll see. He's been through a lot as well. So all these guys have been through a lot in some way, shape, or form. So you mentioned recruiting. It's obviously been a big couple weeks here. Just talk about the excitement you've been getting, you've been feeling just from the staff and recruits you've talked to.
Well, they're right now currently 6th in the Pac-12. That's how you start. Not every blue chip guy is going to come in and pan out. We've seen that. But if you're consistently beating out the Arizona schools and some of these other programs that you're trying to jump ahead of, that's how you start. And since they've joined the Pac-12, they've been last in the recruiting rankings more years than not, or they've been at 10th or 11th. And yes, again, I'm not a star system apologist. Like, there are flaws in that. It's not an exact science, but you bring in talent, and talented guys want to play with other talented guys. You see, you get a Keith Miller to flip from Kansas, and then he works on his teammate, Christian Gonzalez, and that's how you kind of build that momentum. And even, I don't know how active Antonio Alfano is, but people take notice of that. That's on the ticker on ESPN when that night when that happened. So it's a big deal, and so you've also seen this staff not be star chasers in the sense that they're not afraid to be the first to offer a guy. They offered Julius Coates, a defensive lineman at a junior college, has no other power conference options, and fans are kind of grumbling about it. And now all of a sudden he's going to Oregon and Nebraska, and fans are grumbling for another reason, right? So they seem to have a good eye for talent.
Yeah, well, certainly the Buffs have got some battles there in the recruiting trail over the next month. They still got to sign these guys next month, but they got 2 more battles on the field. I like that transition there.
There you go.
So 2 more battles on the field, starting with this week against Washington. Let's talk about that one real quick, because the Huskies come in here, not the same Huskies team that we've seen in recent years. They won the Pac-12 last year. They won it 2016, obviously, against the Buffs. Not the same type of Huskies team, but still pretty good.
Yeah, it's impressive that you lose 9 starters. We were not big fans of Jake Browning, but you lose your starting quarterback, Myles Gaskin, a lot of guys, and yet they're still pretty darn good. Even in some of their losses, they lose to Utah and Oregon by 4 and 5 points. They're in those games. Obviously, the Cal game, the Stanford loss, those are blemishes on their record, but they've blown out a lot of teams this year.
Right.
So, yes, CU has a good chance to win this game. They've been very competitive at home, but it's going to be a battle. Jay Johnson, CU's offensive coordinator, said that's one of the best defensive fronts they're going to face all year. One of the deepest, and they've got some true freshmen playing on the back end, but we've heard them described as ball hawks. It's funny, Jacob Eason, a former 5-star guy that started out at Georgia, has all the physical tools, but he's struggling with his consistency, and it's like, where else have we heard that, right? But he's had some moments this year.
Yeah, and a guy that Mel Tucker coached against for a year at Georgia. So we'll see if that familiarity pays off this week. So let's get into predictions and kind of wrap up this week. You want to go first?
Well, sure. 14.5 points is what the odds makers think. And that seems like a lot of points for, yes, again, Washington has blown out some teams this year, But CU's been really competitive here at Folsom Field. On senior night, I really expect them to carry some of the momentum from the Stanford game. Now, they're going to have to play better than they did in that Stanford game if they're going to beat Washington.
Yeah.
Probably like a USC type performance if you take out, the fourth quarter there is the type of performance you're going to have to put out there. I think Colorado competes. They battle. The defense, again, kind of shows to be a little bit better than early in the season, but still, I'm going to take Washington to win this game, and I'll say 34-28.
Okay. I'm right on the same lines as you. I think Colorado can win this game, but sort of like that Stanford game a couple weeks ago, where I felt like Colorado could win. I didn't feel comfortable picking them. I don't feel comfortable picking them to win this game. I agree with you. I think they're going to be competitive and in this game the whole time. I'm going to go a less conventional score. I'm going to go 32-26. So really same point spread as you.
Yeah.
But I'll go a little unconventional with the score. But I think Washington wins this one and knocks CU out of bowl contention. But it'll be interesting if they win this one to go into next week at Utah with the bowl as a possibility. That's still a tough one. We'll talk about it next week, obviously. But certainly, I think the Buffs can win this one. I don't expect them to, but should be a fun game at senior night on Saturday night at Folsom Field.